Oh my god, Ash, my boy. It's been around 20 years since you've left a certain Pokemon. You know that bird-like Pokemon you promised to return to? Well, where you at, Ashy boy? Oh, you abandoned it? Of course you did, you poo-poo diaper baby. Bad joke. Ash may have abandoned Pidgeot and never returned to it, but what if he had kept it after he had evolved it into Pidgeot? How would it change his Pokemon journey in the times he didn't have it? Well, I think I've actually came up with a pretty good what-if scenario for if he actually would have kept his Pidgeot. Pidgeot is a Pokemon we all missed, and you guys really wanted it in the comment section, so I had to do it this week. But without further ado, let's hear Pidgeot's story. So as the anime starts off, Ash Ketchum is a 10-year-old boy from Pallet Town who has the goal to become a Pokemon master. It's been over 20 years and he still hasn't done it. GG. But yeah, back to Ash Ketchum. He's from Pallet Town. It is his first day becoming a Pokemon trainer. He has the intent of picking one of the 3 starter Pokemon, but unfortunately he doesn't make it in time and winds up actually starting off with Pikachu. Him and Pikachu have it rough at first, but eventually they get along and even meet a special red-haired individual along the way. A few episodes in, they make it to a Viridian Forest and Ash captures a Caterpie, but after Caterpie, he runs into a bird-like Pokemon, and it's a rare treat to see. He runs into a Pidgeotto, and at Ash's level at this point in the anime, having a middle-stage Pokemon is pretty good. Ash, being the dunce he is, decides to bring his Caterpie out against it and gets wasted utterly. Caterpie, I'm so sorry. But then Ash does the right thing and brings Pikachu out, and after electric shock, he throws a Pokeball and captures it. As Ash's journey progresses regularly, just like how it did in the anime, him and Pidgeotto bond and everything in the Kanto part of his journey fall into place. Ash gets all 8 of his gym badges, makes it to the Pokemon League, loses to Richie, and Professor Oak needs him to go to Valencia Island to pick up the GS Ball from Professor Ivy. On the way over to the Orange Islands though, Ash and friends run into some wild Pidgeotto, Spearow, and Fearow feuding over some land. The Spearow and their leader Fearow have practically taken over because the Pidgey and Pidgeotto are pretty scared of Fearow. Note that this is also the same Fearow Ash threw at, sorry, wrong series. Clefairy Chronicles will be back next week. So Ash chucked a rock at this Spearow. It got pissed. They chased Ash and Pikachu, nearly killed them. Pikachu used an electric shock. Happy day. Anyways, back to the story. Fearow and his army have taken over. The Pidgey and Pidgeotto want to do something about it, but they can't because they're overpowered because of Fearow. Yeah, Fearow is that strong. On top of that, Pidgey and Pidgeotto are more gentle bird-like Pokemon over Spearow and Fearow, where they are more aggressive. Ash sees the problem at hand and decides to see if his own Pidgeotto could talk some sense into the gentle birds. Pidgeotto comes out of its Pokeball and tells the Pidgey line birds that it is okay to move from the current location they are at. Ash's Pidgeotto then flies off and the others follow behind. Out of nowhere, Fearow comes out and confronts Ash's Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto tells Fearow to move out of the way, but with Fearow's dominant attitude, it knocks Pidgeotto right out of the sky and falls right on the ground. Pidgeotto hurt, gets angry, and then it starts its evolution into Pidgeot. Once it is fully evolved, it wants Ash and Pikachu to hop on its back to take on Fearow. With Ash giving the order, Pidgeot, with the help of the other Pidgey and Pidgeotto, are able to take down Fearow. Ash and Pidgeot both decide that it's a good idea that Pidgeot stays for the time being to make sure Fearow and Spearow don't come back for any sneaky attacks. Ash then proceeds to the Orange Islands as he does in the anime, getting all the badges and winning the Orange League. He then comes back to Pallet Town to celebrate his victory. While in Pallet, Ash learns that there is a new league to take on in the Johto region. Hyped up as ever, Ash packs his things and Misty and Brock of course agree to accompany again for a grand adventure. That night while Ash is sleeping though, he begins to feel like he is missing something before he sets off the Johto. All of a sudden, the thought crosses his mind that he needs to visit Pidgeot before he sets off the Johto. Ash then proceeds to the spot where he had left Pidgeot before he departed to the Orange Islands. Pidgeot is nowhere to be found, so Ash begins to wander around the area, calling it out with Pikachu along with him. They search for at least 5 hours and have no luck finding Pidgeot. What Ash doesn't know is that where he is actually walking is Fearow's territory. Ash, not knowing this, still calls out for Pidgeot. Fearow is hiding carefully, awaiting Ash to make his walk over to this nearby cliff that drops a pretty long way down. When the moment is right, Fearow then pops out of the greenery it was hiding in and ambushes Ash and Pikachu, causing them to both fall off the cliff. Ash, all out of options, starts to cry and screams Pidgeot as loud as he can. Literally seconds from falling to his death, a blur comes out of nowhere near Mach 2 speed and catches Ash and Pikachu. Ash, still in panic, has no idea that he was saved, but once he opens up his eyes, he realizes that he was caught by his Pidgeot. Ash realizes this and thanks Pidgeot. He also realizes that Pidgeot is glowing with a white aura. Pidgeot, angered by the fact that his trainer was nearly killed by Fearow, unleashes the most powerful of sky attacks after charging it while flying up the cliff. Pidgeot hits Fearow with everything it has, and Fearow gets hit and knocked back, taking out 7 trees. Pidgeot then flies Ash and Pikachu Pikachu back to where the other Pidgey and Pidgeotto are. Ash then tells Pidgeot he wanted to say goodbye before he went out to the Johto region, and he said he had no idea how long he would be gone and when he would return. Pidgeot, knowing the circumstances, nods its head and affectionately rubs its head against Ash's chest. Ash then hugs Pidgeot and says, "I will see you again soon." As Ash begins to walk away, one of the Pidgeotto, the second strongest next to Ash's Pidgeot, begins to glow and starts to evolve into Pidgeot. Once the other Pidgeot evolves, it immediately tells Ash's Pidgeot, "I can handle the group and take over." Ash's Pidgeot asks if it was serious in a very shocking face. Other Pidgeot nods its head with a serious yes. Ash's Pidgeot begins to get teary-eyed and swoops Ash and Pikachu off the ground and begins to fly around the area very excited like. Ash then hugs Pidgeot one more time while flying and says, "Glad to have you back." Pidgeot then flies Ash back to Pallet where Ash's friends, Mom, and Professor Oak are. Once landed, Ash explains the situation to his friends. Everyone is excited to have Pidgeot back in the picture, but Ash realizes if he goes to Johto, he will have a full team of 6. Puzzled not knowing what to do, Oak offers to Ash to have Pidgeot stay at his lab while he is on his journey in Johto. Ash asks Pidgeot if that's what it wants, and Pidgeot is very delighted with the offer. So from there on, Pidgeot stays at Oak's lab until Ash makes his way to his first Johto gym challenge against Falconer, the flying-type gym leader of Violet City. Ash sees that Falconer has a Pidgeot, and Ash is inspired to battle with his Pidgeot against Falconer's. Ash decides to bring his Pidgeot and duke it out with Falconer. It was a very heated battle, and Ash barely pulled through in the hot battle of Pidgeot. But with a thread, Ash's Pidgeot prevailed with a powerful Sky Attack. After that battle, everything in Johto goes according as it does in the anime, and Pidgeot goes back to Oak's lab until the Johto League, where Ash uses Pidgeot a few times, including his battle against Harrison, where Pidgeot is able to take out Sneasel after a battle on the ground. Pidgeot is able to use Gust to stop Sneasel from moving, and then it knocks it out with the powerful Double Edge attack. Unfortunately, it is then knocked out by Blaziken after taking a few ice attacks prior from Sneasel. Ash unfortunately does lose the battle against Harrison, and then resumes his way over to Hoenn. In Hoenn, Ash decides not to use Pidgeot, along with his other Pokemon, and his journey resumes regularly as it does in the anime. After the Evergrande Conference, Ash learns about the Battle Frontier being held in Kanto, and decides to take it on. Pidgeot is very eager when it hears Ash is coming back to Pallet, and begs Ash for it to come along. Ash then thinks about it and says yes, and Pidgeot is super excited to come along. As a result, Ash takes Pidgeot and leaves Swellow behind at the lab. Pidgeot did very well in all sorts of battles in the Battle Frontier, such as where it teamed up against Domace, Tucker's, Swampert, and Arcanine, and also Spencer's Venusaur. With the help of Pidgeot, Ash and team were able to get all the Frontier symbols. At the end of it all, Squirtle, Pidgeot, Bulbasaur, Charizard, Pikachu, and Ash all took a picture for nostalgia's sake, and it sits in his room on the shelf with all the other Frontier symbols. Of course, all his Pokemon helped, but this was the original team, and they did help take on Pyramid King Brandon. Pidgeot didn't take part in that battle, but still, it's the OG team for crying out loud. After his accomplishments in the Battle Frontier, Ash heads over to the Sinnoh region and tests his strength for the Lily of the Valley Conference, or the Sinnoh League. Everything in the anime plays out in Sinnoh just like it did until the Sinnoh League itself, where Ash had requested to use his old Pokemon in the Sinnoh League. Ash didn't use Pidgeot in the Sinnoh League, but however, he did get to see it again when Professor Oak accidentally sent it over along with Bayleaf and others. As for the remainder of the anime, Pidgeot doesn't really play a role, aside from the photo they took at Oak's lab where all of Ash's Pokemon pose for a picture after the Unova League. Pidgeot is definitely mentioned though when Ash and the gang go to the Kanto Fair in Unova, and he mentions he had a Pidgeot too, along with Charizard, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. Don't worry, Butters is mentioned too. As for Kalos and Alola, nothing really interesting happens. Ash Greninja is still a thing, and Ash doesn't Mega Evolve his Pidgeot into a Mega Pidgeot, and his other Pokemon he could have Mega Evolved neither. As for Alola, well, nothing interesting has happened for Pidgeot, or any of his other Pokemon for that matter, aside the one that are on his team. Other than that, that was Pidgeot's What If scenario. Which What If scenario would you guys like to see next? Share yours in the comments below. If you guys did enjoy this video though, be sure to leave a like, and why not subscribe if you enjoyed this sort of Pokemon content along with the other content I produce. Until next time though, I'm Mystic Umbreon, and I will see you guys later with some more awesome Pokemon content.